In this video, we're going to demonstrate medial saphenous restraint and venipuncture. So we have a good restrainer here. Make sure that they're holding them as still as possible to give us the best chance of getting all the blood we need on the first try. You do want to make sure you have everything set up before you start as well, because once you get going with the blood, you don't want to have to stop and move around. So I have my syringes all set up here. We're generally going to get about 3 mils of blood. So I have 3 1 mil syringes set up here. I have my tubes ready, or you can have someone to fill tubes for you, whichever is easier. I have my alcohol, and then we're going to use a butterfly catheter. You can definitely draw blood with a syringe alone. You generally are only going to use a 1 mil or 3 mil syringe. But the butterfly is definitely easier. It doesn't collapse the vessel nearly as much as the other ones can, especially in those small animals or dehydrated animals. So I'm going to demonstrate with the butterfly since that's what we will use the most often. So you want to alcohol your area. So I see a lot of people actually try to part the hair there, and sometimes that makes it a little more difficult. My personal opinion is that we're actually better off just going ahead and smoothing out the hair, and it does make the vessel kind of stand up a little nicer there. Not that you can see a whole lot in this video. So then also it is my responsibility to make sure he can't pull his leg back. So I usually use my thumb and tuck it on his hock so that there's nowhere for it to go. Then I'm gonna take the top off of my butterfly syringe or butterfly catheter, and then I also have to make sure I take the end off, which I've already removed. So my needle I can hold either like this flat, or I can go ahead and hold it with the 2 butterfly things, which is easier for me, so that's what I do. And then we are gonna make sure that it is bevel up before we insert it in the vessel. So just gotta find his vessel here. So once we find the vessel, then we're going to insert the catheter, and you should get blood back when you're in. And then, thank you. We're just going to go ahead and put our syringe on here. There we go. So because I don't have the blood all the way back, I am going to go ahead and take that off and put it back in. You don't want to obviously put any air in there, but I also want to make sure I get my full sample. So I can see I have to pump his leg a little bit here to help the blood come into the syringe. That's totally fine. You're not messing with anything with the blood if you do that. You can also see that you don't want to draw back super fast. Sometimes their blood pressure is up enough that you can draw back faster. But you can see if I draw back really fast, it actually stops the blood or goes slower. So I want to go ahead and make sure that I'm pulling back at a steady pace, but not collapsing the vessel by pulling back too hard. And then once I have filled my syringe, then I'm going to get ready to switch to my other syringe. So make sure I get my full mil, and then I can put that in my tube and switch to my next syringe. You can clamp this off as you get better at doing this. You definitely can do that. But when you first start, there's a lot going on here, and so you don't fumble with it and actually make the butterfly come out. It's not a big deal. If he loses a drop of blood, ultimately our goal would be to, though, clamp it off like I am right now. Again, into my tube. And then my last syringe. And then what's left in my catheter will fill the rest of my syringe. So I'm going to go ahead and pull my needle out. You do want to make sure that you hold off really well. These ones will definitely blow really fast, so we want to make sure that we put a Band-Aid on there, or that you hold off a really long period of time, and then just make sure you remove that bandage because they get really tight when they slide.